All right, we're live on Facebook and YouTube.
What's up, Facebook? What's up, YouTube?
Instagram.
Laura, I'm amped to talk to you, by the way.
I'm excited we're connecting. We connected like a year ago. And I'm like, we need to connect. And then I never connected because
life got in the way.
Life got lifey.
I know.
All right, we're live.
We're live everywhere. I'll give everyone a minute or two to hop in. All right, everyone tuning in on my Instagram and my social media channels. I'm here with Laura Simmons. Laura is a very big advocate of the micro salon. Correct, Laura?
This is correct.
And this is a model that I love. I have a salon in Parsippany, 5-chair salon. If I could do it all over again, I would probably have just done that and then done my education business and my online store. But here I am now with 5 locations, and I'm talking to you. Take my viewers through who you are, because I love your Instagram. I love your message. I love what you talk about. And let them find a little more out about you right now.
Thank you. That's a really big compliment coming from someone who knows the big salon world. Because having worked in salons that are large, I opened up my micro salon 4 years ago in 2020. So I had a career in being a hairdresser for salons, and I loved it. And I loved having mentorship, and I loved being someone who is a leader. And it's funny what you don't know until you're in it. And I realized really quickly how much the salons I had worked for did for me once I became my own owner. I was like, wow, this is a lot more than I expected, because the track record of wanting to open a big salon was like really high on my to-do list at that time. So with all that said, I'll digress a little bit and then I'll give my story. But I am a hairstylist right now behind the chair. I do work 3 days a week, and I manage and run my micro salon. At the moment, we're a 3-chair studio. We were 5 chairs at one point, and we have always worked in a salon suite setting. So we've been as big as 2 spaces, and we've reduced down to 1 space. We recently moved into a beautiful, like very bougie, high-end boutique style suite that we love. It's like all these studios are just micro salons, which is super cool to be in like a whole building of just 10 unique salons that all have very like-minded sets behind like how they operate their business. We have a team, and I just love the flexibility that I get within managing and leading and then educating and getting to wear all the hats and not feeling like I have to just be in one space due to the finances. So
nice. Your area you're in is like a bunch of micro salons in there? Or
yes.
A combination of 1, 2, 3 and chair? Like
there's 10 studios, and every studio is minimum 2 chairs up to 7, depending on the size. Oh, wow. And they are all like, it's a high-end boutique. It calls in that type of hairstylist that can support that business.
I like that a lot.
It's very cool. Like the 2 ladies that opened it have a traditional salon. It's a hybrid of both rental and commission. And then they opened up their, what they call bespoke studios. And they've crushed it. Like, I'm like, kudos to you guys, because you guys run a really good business. And that definitely would be, if I were to like now know what I know, be like opening a suite in that capacity would be like high on the list.
Yeah, it's the only way to really buy back your time. Like when people will like open up a 1-chair suite and they're looking to scale and grow their business, they're kind of stuck because they're in a small cubicle. And you either have to rent the chair out or bring on a commission stylist on the days you're not there. It's just really hard to grow, especially if, let's say, you have to do a redo and you have a 3 o'clock client and your redo can only come in at 3 o'clock. Where do you put them? And so at least if you have to tone somebody, you could put them at the sink and then have another chair to sit at. It just makes more sense to have at least 3 chairs.
100%. Yeah. It's one of the biggest things that when I'm talking with stylists who are in a single chair suite, you know, their biggest concern is they don't have space to grow, which we have like, let's look at your studio. Let's see if we can squeeze another chair in there. But when you're on your own, like everything rides and falls on you. And I was grateful because I was able to invest in having 2 chairs for my very first studio, that I didn't have that problem. And I managed the business knowing what I knew coming from a bigger salon. But when you put a glass ceiling on your business and you can't work any more hours or everything is on you at all times, like that's when a lot of stylists either A, burn out, or B, they don't make it because they just aren't given the proper tools to succeed within a 1-chair studio.
Yeah, it's the phrase I like to say, you own a job, you don't own a business.
I've said the same thing. I was at a conference and someone said, if you take time away from your business and you lose income, you own a job. And that was like the bomb I needed. I was like, I have to scale. I need more people.
Which conference was that?
It was actually locally here in Dallas. The
Nice.
gentleman that ran it was Ryan Stewman.
Okay, that's great information. I forget where I heard that from. It could have been like a Tony Robbins Business Mastery years ago, but I listened to a lot of different audiobooks and business books and seminars and all that. And it was the same deal for me too. I was like, if I stop doing hair, then I'm not making money. And I owned a salon when I had that premonition. Like if I stop working behind the chair, some of the bills don't get paid. I was like, this sucks. I had to fix it. And what I did instead was I went the e-commerce route.
I was just talking we do monthly calls. I was literally just talking about how you've positioned retail in your business. So one, I want you to come into my group and talk about that because it would be so powerful. What you've created is so unique.
Yeah. I mean, I have something I'm creating right now. I call it the personal economy. And it's the ability to have service, have product, and have knowledge. And those are my three things that I sell. I sell products, services, and my knowledge. And in any industry, you can make this work. So what's next for me is to take that to all businesses. And I'm right now niching down to blow up in our industry, but it could work if you're a dentist. It could work if you're a chiropractor, physical therapist. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, who was I talking to? And they brought the dentist up to me. Like, how would a dentist do it? I'm like, well, you're a dentist, so you do people's teeth or root canals or whatnot. Then you have a Shopify store where you sell toothbrushes, teeth whiteners, dental floss, other things for your mouth or health, shit like that. And then you have a knowledge business where either you teach other dentists how to run a practice, or you have some kind of online course for people, whether it be moms with children, how to floss their kids' teeth, something like that, kind of like taking care of babies. So I unpacked the whole thing like 2 minutes. I was like, holy shit, it can work for anything.
It totally could. Scissors make sense. Kelly.
Yes.
I'm not going to say her last name because I'm going to butcher it. She's one of my good friends. Her partner is a dentist. And we have talked about the correlation between dentistry and hairstyling and how it's actually very parallel.
Very similar.
Different industry.
I get a lot of tips from dentists.
Mm-hmm.
Dentists are the ultimate pre-bookers. You never leave 100%. That office without booking like 2 or 3 cleanings when you're done. And I'm like, holy shit, like I have an appointment in May, another one in October of 2025. Like I'm set. Like they really got that dialed in. Yeah. And they took the business to the next level. And so us in our industry, we could look at other industries and see what they're doing. And you brought something up that was really important before. And it's about profit versus revenue. And it's like that little small salon compared to a big salon. And we think like, hey, I need a big salon in order to be a millionaire and make all this money. When in reality, if you're not dialed in and your margins aren't set, you just have bigger problems. You're not making more money. And so with a small micro salon, you could be doing $400,000 or $500,000 a year and make more money than a 15 or 20 chair salon because you're not profitable. Your margins are 6 to 12% at max. Typically it's 8 to 12% in our industry. But with a smaller salon, you don't need as much support staff.
Not at all.
Yeah. And you'll be so much more profitable.
Yeah. That's a big, I can pay my team what I pay them because we don't have the support staff. And it's by design that way. Like part of it why I designed it was because I wanted to create that, like, I call it bridging that gap between the big salons, in which I totally know why they run the way they run now. Because you have to have all of that support to make it run smoothly and not have people crossing over from like, assistants into receptionists into stylists. Like you want everyone to have their home. But when you're in a smaller studio, or a smaller space, it doesn't have to be a studio. It could just be a smaller square footage. You don't have to have that if you have the proper system set up, which then you can pay people, even yourself, in a different capacity.
You definitely can. One of my bigger locations, that was my challenge in the beginning. There's 15 chairs in there, and I run it like a smaller space. I pay a really high commission, and so there's a certain threshold we have to be at in revenue in order for us to bring on a team member to work the front desk. So my assistants help with the front desk, and there's a lot of rollover, and it does get convoluted. Like sometimes they don't know their role, and so I'm trying my best to figure out how to navigate that. It works for us, but it wouldn't have worked 25 years ago.
Right.
Online booking, people booking appointments through Instagram or through Google. It's really easy now. Whereas, 20 years ago, none of this stuff existed.
Oh no, I mean, most even independent stylists know how to build out a funnel to like find the client, acquire the client, book the client. Like, it's nice that we have those tools. They weren't around even when I started doing hair.
No, not at all. And that's why when I look at younger stylists, I'm like, you have no idea how lucky you are.
I know. They're so lucky.
Like there's no way 30 years ago, I don't know how long you've been doing hair for in the industry, that you could work 3 days a week, do $1,200 to $1,500 a day, and have an amazing income and have all the freedom that you have today. You just couldn't do it.
No.
Now with technology, texting, Instagram, TikTok, Google business page, and then you have all the booking softwares, you could literally just work Monday, Wednesday, Friday and make as much as a doctor.
So that's the interesting thing. So in this new space that we're in, we've been there for like 4 months now, 3 months. These stylists are in their 20s and they're charging like $500 minimum for their services. They're booked, like they're booked out 5 days a week and they go home at 5 o'clock at night. Like I've been in the industry for over 20 years, like 22 years. And it was like, and it still holds true. If you want to build clientele, you work the hours, like evenings and weekends, the times that most are available. Yeah. And that's how I was taught to build my business. But it's so wild to see how progressive our industry has become. And if you're catching on to what's actually being put out there, you can build a business really quickly, ridiculously quickly, make insane money and have a schedule that really works for your life. It's so different than it was.
And if you want to crush it, like if you want to double down and put in the work, put in the effort and do that 6-7 days a week, just for a sprint, just for like 25 to 28, let's say, you can probably make yourself $300,000-$400,000 a year, invest it properly, and then scale back and then have that money working for you.
Yeah.
And I tell a lot of people, I mean, my brother-in-law, he might be watching it, might not be watching it. He's opening a barbershop. And I remember before he made that decision, I was like, Dan, he does really well as a barber, but if ownership isn't for you, make a lot of money now, buy a car wash, buy a laundromat, buy another business that you could be almost absentee from because you make so much money behind the chair. And then you just diversify so you have multiple streams of income coming in. I'm not saying lose focus, but if you could crush it 3-4 days behind the chair and you invest into like some kind of franchise restaurant or one of these like berry bowl places that are getting really popular, they were popular, you could do really well. You don't have to just open a hair salon.
No, I think if anything, getting yourself out of, I don't say get out of the business, but I mean, there is just such I would say there's a small norm for profitability of hair salons, and it's not as great as people think it is. Like it's just the average based off where you live and where you work and what you do. And I think that I've heard, so when I was in my 20s, the salon I worked at, I'm realizing the older I get, how much they were trying to prepare us financially with like learning about IRAs and like investments. And they were really trying to drill this home to us. And in my 20s, it was like party hardy. I didn't care. Like I spent so much money on nothing. And had I have taken that advice then and wasn't so afraid to invest, because I think investing felt big and I wasn't educated on it very well, that it scared me. Like it made me feel like I didn't know enough, so don't do it at all type of mentality. If these younger generations could do that now and be open to that, it would change everything for them. Because I don't think we should be working behind the chair till we're like 50, 60 years old. And nothing's wrong with working that hard behind the chair at that age. But if you don't have to, like it physically is demanding on our bodies. Like it can only take so much.
Yeah, I had to do someone's hair today at the salon. I retired back in June, so I don't typically do hair anymore. But I had to take care of someone's color and blowing them out. Like my arm actually hurt, like my elbow.
Oh my gosh.
Just years of doing this. I was like, holy shit. Like this is getting sore. I can't imagine someone in their 60s who still does hair. Like you have to hurt. But speaking of like other businesses, do you follow like Cody Sanchez or like Layla Hermosi at all?
I do follow Layla. I don't know who Cody is.
So Cody Sanchez, she's owns Contrarian Thinking. That's her YouTube channel and her business. She's big into boring businesses. The storage place, like a storage unit, a car wash, a laundromat. And she just dominates that sector of business. And there's so many baby boomers that are looking to retire and their kids don't want their business and their businesses are for sale. And so you can walk right into a turnkey business that might be boring and not glamorous. You get your glamour in the 3 days you're doing hair, and then you operate and run that as cash flow. So if owning a rental property is not for you, maybe buying one of those businesses is. And being that, like you said before, you could do hair and be out by 5 o'clock. You make enough money from that to support your lifestyle. And then that's your retirement and your investment. So ultimately, by the time you're 50, you're set. She has such an amazing YouTube channel. Definitely check her out.
I will check her out. That's so interesting. I'm thinking like there's so many car washes in my area. I've never even thought about that.
We're going to sell soon. James, guys, if you're watching right now, if you have any questions in the chat that you want to ask Laura, ask me, please feel free to type it to James. He'll read them out to us. So as we're talking, he'll fill us in when we have like a little separation and a breath of fresh air. But what is your next? Like, what's next for you in the micro salon industry? I know you have a coaching business. You have the salon. What's next for you in the industry?
Oh my gosh, that's a really good question. I probably bounce around with this idea a lot, and I don't necessarily have a direct answer for you. I had my son 2 years ago, and I'm still like, well, maybe I want another baby right now. I don't know, right? I don't know what my next path is with that. And if that is the case, it would obviously change the direction of the business growth. Because as a woman physically doing the baby and all the work, it's like 2 years that kind of things go on like maintenance mode.
Yeah, I have 2 kids and 2 right now.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
No joke. My wife went to a business dinner on Tuesday night, and it was a lot. Like just that one night, I was like, holy shit, I have to get you a better birthday gift.
Yeah, last night our son was just bouncing off the walls. Like it's like he had sugar all day. He's only 2, and I'm like, his energy levels are insane. And I'm an older mom, so it's like I think that my age is definitely kicking me in the ass.
Oh, it's rough. But when you took your maternity leave, were you able to, the way you set things up?
I took 3 months off and I had paid leave.
That's amazing. Set it up for everyone who's listening right now. Like, how did you actually get from opening your salon and getting to the point where you could take 3 months off, paid leave as a hairstylist? Because that is like a dream, especially as an owner, to make that a reality.
Yeah, honestly, because I opened in 2020, excuse me, I had my son in 2022. So it was only 2 years that I had opened this business, built my demand. I brought on a renter, which was helping with offset the cost. And then I had an assistant so I could double book. And I just, like, when you said hustle, I hustled my ass. Like I hustled my ass off. I worked really hard, and it was easy though, because it was just at that time of doing business. It was just easy to do business. So with that said, then I hired on a team. I was planning on the lead. I found out I was pregnant, trained my assistant to be ready on the floor in a year within services that we specialized in, which were extensions, color, toppers. We do a lot of toppers. And then I brought on a stylist to help with other services. So by the time I stepped away, there was 4 stylists that were working in the salon. And I was able to like be relatively present at home. I mean, you're still managing a business no matter what, however you slice it, you still have to be available, but it allowed me to be away for about 3.5 months.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great. I don't know. It was one of those things where I knew what I had to do, and you had to trust the process and do it. Like there was no second guessing. And I just had to like trust my own ability to lead and train and make sure that things were taken care of. And of course, were things perfect? No. I mean, I learned a lot taking that time away, and I would do it differently if I were to do it again. Yeah,
but what you learn in your time away is priceless.
100%.
You wouldn't know that if you didn't take time away. Then you're like, holy shit, my business is really not what I thought it was.
Yeah, I came back with a whole new lens on the business, and then like how I would lead differently. Like it actually was like leadership in the 3-month period of being postpartum, which was rough, but it taught me a lot about what I needed to know and what was not working.
You build the team, and the team builds the business. That's it. Who do you like for leadership?
Oh my gosh. I feel out of touch. I used to be really deep into leadership and watching, reading, consuming podcasts because I feel like I'm in my mommy bubble. I am feeling out of touch with that. So I personally have a couple of business coaches I work with that are phenomenal with like teaching me leadership and business coaching and all those things. So one of them is Elizabeth Faye. She's in our industry. She stepped away from doing hair, but she has a lot of leadership coaching and wellness. When I used to listen to podcasts, I love Ed Milet. I think he's phenomenal. He's I've actually seen him speak in person. He's phenomenal. Just such
Simon
a, pardon me?
Simon Sinek, Leaders Eat Last.
Simon is, yeah, I've gotten a lot of information from him.
Maxwell's another good guy.
Yep. Why am I spacing? There's a few more people that I've followed, but again, I'm not gonna lie, my mommy brain's kind of still coming back.
I think leadership and sales, you get those two things down, you got our industry mastered. Because sales ultimately is a form of leadership. It's a form of persuasion. And so you're selling your staff to post on social media. And so you really have to learn how to negotiate, how to speak to your team, know their love language. That's you know the 5 love languages?
Oh yeah, it's actually our intake form. Like when a new stylist wants to work for our salon, that's in our intake form. Like, what is your love language? Like, I want to know right from the beginning of who you are. What's your Enneagram? If you know your Enneagram, like, who am I talking to right now?
Yeah, that's part of my intake too. Not the love languages, but I ask questions lead me to learn the language.
Yeah,
it's crucial. Now, double booking. Let's double click on that for a second, because the new thing in the industry is I don't double book. I give the experience to my clients, and I always talk about and give pushback on that, because you can still give an amazing experience, but why not book another client while they're processing?
so
I can't wrap my head around that.
I'm from like the OG stylist. I was taught to double book. I was like, that was just how we were taught. So I don't know how to not. Like yesterday in the salon, we had a full blown like 5-hour color correction on a client. And I still had the capacity, because I had a wonderful assistant trained, that we were double booking the entire time. So I was able to take additional clients, and it didn't feel stressful. It never once felt stressful. And it was able to increase my dollar per hour. So to me, it's just like, it's an equation of your time versus your services. Call it your value, but your services. I think double booking with an assistant, especially if you are like a well-oiled machine, is so smart for you and for the client, because they get 2 people working on them, number one, and you're utilizing your time to the most comfortable efficiency.
Yeah.
I'm not one that I don't prefer to triple book, because I think it gets a little bit chaotic. I think 1-to-1 is ideal, but I'm an advocate for it. I do know a lot of stylists, though, say they don't want to do it. I just think they haven't been shown the way to do it well.
Yeah, they don't know how to do it. It causes anxiety, and they feel like they're lessening the service, but you're selling the result. As long as your hair still looks the same, I don't think they care. At least my clients never cared.
It's all about how you position it, because when I'm working with new stylists who've never had an assistant and they've never been an assistant, that's where they're like, my clients devalue it. And that's where I challenge them, like, no, you devalue it because you don't know how to do it effectively, or you don't believe that it's going to be as valuable as
It's a belief system.
Yeah. My clients, if my assistant's not there, they're like, what's wrong? Did she quit? Is she okay? Like, they want my assistant to be there because they get more value having 2 people.
100%. And nowadays, people don't want to sit in a salon for 5 hours.
No, my client that was there for 5 hours was annoyed, but we had to, because it was part of this. Like, we had no choice not to. But they don't want to sit there for 5 hours. They have a lot more things to do with their time.
Yeah, I feel like the younger stylists feel like they have to create this experience and this long, drawn-out service to show their client that they're putting the effort in. When in reality, you could have done that with 200 less foils. Not 200, but like 50 less.
I know what you mean. Yeah. I felt like I did 500 foils yesterday. I was kind of that stylist. She had a lot of hair. No, I agree with you, though. I mean, we provide a really exceptional experience. Like, we do all the like woo-woo stuff of like lavender rituals, and we do scented towels, and we do massage, but it's all within a timely, it's efficient. We're efficient with our time. So they leave relaxed. They have a different experience, but we're doing it in a manner where it makes sense because of how we price our services. It's like we have parts and we have labor, and that's how we blend our pricing. And if we stay off of our pricing, like if our timing gets off, our pricing decreases essentially. We don't charge by the hour, though. So I will say that we're not that salon, but that's how we create our packages.
Oh, nice. So what got you into parts and labor?
Honestly, so I think it was just coming down to like understanding how much my stylists were using for color and holding them accountable to it. I needed to know that they weren't overusing, and if they were, that they were charging for it. So clients don't see the parts and labor on their end. Everything's based off like, if you use this much product and obviously your service cost is this much, here's your pricing package. And if you end up using more color, you have to charge more for that. So there's accountability on that. We do measure it, but we don't, I know certain, I'm not going to say the names, but certain businesses do have clients see the parts and labor on the receipt. I choose not to do that.
We ring ours out that way, though. Like, I have parts and labor at checkout.
Oh, you do? I've been so fearful of doing that. I'm not going to lie.
But no, a lot of salons are like, what do you mean?
Like, I am like, what do you mean? Why are you doing that?
Because it's legit parts and labor.
Yeah.
Barbara, if you don't want to spend so much on color, don't spend 6 months away from the salon. Come in every 4 weeks like you should. But it made it easier for me for a commission standpoint, because when I started really looking at my numbers and I'm doing the math on the service, I'm looking at how much color I'm ordering. And back in like the mid 90s to early 2000s, you did a highlight, you toned it with T18, see you later, and you were done. Now it's a root melt, a tip out, low light,
Yep.
then you're glossing them, then you got Olaplex in there, and it's $60 worth of product.
It's a lot.
And if you have a $200 service, you're giving 50-50 commission, $60 as color, you're left with $40. And then you got payroll tax on top of that, front desk assistant, you're negative $20. You have no idea why you have no money. And if you just separated them out, you would realize that that $60 is just getting washed away.
Yeah. Or thrown in the trash can, depending on if you overmix or not.
Do you use like a Vish or anything? Or like a salon scale?
Salon scale, yeah.
Yeah, I just did the math. I had salon scale, the Bluetooth, and I had Vish for a while. It just was faster for me.
What
just
do you
weigh
use?
and write it down.
You don't do either?
No, I don't do either of them anymore.
Oh wow.
I ring it out like a bowl of color. So I did a 30 to 40 grams, my realm I weigh in, and then bleach is 50. And so each bowl of color or bleach is X amount of dollars. And so I just at checkout.
Yeah, like it's a formula.
All right, Laura, we did a full highlight, and I tell the front desk person we did 3 bowls of bleach and 2 bowls of color. Simple.
That's so wild. Okay, so how was I'm assuming like you had to transition to that, but how did the clients respond?
See, a few of them were like, we told everyone we're not raising our prices. Everything's getting more expensive, so we're not going to raise prices, but we are going to separate parts and labor. And a few were like, so you're just raising prices, but in a different way. I said, no, if we had to raise prices to include everyone's color, that was fair based on hair density, hair length, and the amount of time you went in between visits, I would have to make my single process $140. But I'm not. I'm keeping it at $85. And then we're going to add on any color that's extra. So, Barbara, she has so much hair and she waits like 3 months between touch-ups. She might pay $140. But Nancy, you don't have a lot of hair. You come every 4 weeks. Your price isn't going to change. And so that's how I explained it to him. And so I just had to give him the example. Or I gave him the example of like frozen yogurt. I'm like, you get frozen yogurt to your husband? He gets a lot of toppings. He has this big ass carton of frozen yogurt. His is $14. Yours is $3.95. It's the same deal. And so depending on how much color we use, it's going to reflect on your price.
Yeah. I mean, it's very similar to how we do it. Obviously, we're not that forthcoming with the prices on the actual price tag, but it's very similar to the methodology of that, just because that's where your profit margins can get so gray. If you're not like having a proper way of measuring things, especially the bigger the team, which is probably a big reason why I just don't want to be into a big salon and have that many people to try and manage. But our smaller team is much easier to like hold each other accountable for that.
Oh, yeah. Because if you have 4 people on a big team that are wasting color, opposed to 1 person on a smaller team, it could completely crush your business.
Yeah.
And it's usually like more like 13 people on a bigger team that are doing that.
I've seen it. I've been in salons like that.
Here's the funny part. My team is more conservative with their color when we switch to parts and labor because the client's paying for it than when I was paying for it.
Gosh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Because they spend their clients' money.
Yeah, I don't want to charge
too much.
I want to charge her too much. What is she going to say? Oh, I can't sell her retail because she already spent so much. She's in the buying zone right now, and she's going to leave here and maybe go to Ulta or somewhere else to buy the shampoo. Like, you need to recommend and prescribe for her frustrations with her hair the proper products for her. She'll be happy.
Retail, I love retail. I started, my first job was at the Body Shop, and I learned how to sell retail working there, which then when I became a hairstylist just became so easy. So when they were like, just talk about retail, I'm like, okay, because it was fun for me to talk about fun things that I liked. But I think a lot of people get hung up on, I'm telling someone to buy more from me. Like what you just said is so accurate. They've already spent $150. Why would they want to spend $50 or $100 more on extra products? And it's so much about how you talk about it and how you feel about it, and like your relationship to money in general, which, I mean,
That's a whole different.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I think retail is just. This is what I was teaching in the the live I had the other day. Was just about positioning retail as like an extra stream of revenue and why everyone needs to be talking about it. Like it's just to me as part of the process, the experience, like what you do as a salon, which then is like just like what's the word I'm looking for? Like
bonus add-on.
Anyway, an injection of cash.
Cash injection.
Yeah.
With retail, there's a huge, I don't know what's going on in our industry, but there's a movement of people telling other people not to sell retail.
Yeah, I would like to know who those people are and do they run a salon?
I know who they are, and I know the advice they're giving.
Oh, I know who they are. I'm like, but do you own a salon?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Are you telling people not to sell retail because you couldn't sell retail? And it didn't make sense for you because you didn't have the skills to do it? Or you're telling them because you generally think that it's a bad idea to make more money? I can't just wrap my head around that.
Yeah, I don't either because everyone is going to go buy. You have to wash your hair. Where are you going to be buying your products from? And there is that psychological background of people, new clients especially, and existing clients, if they buy retail from the salon, if the retention rate's higher, the trust rate's higher, like there's a lot of actual psychological foundation behind it that supports a better business aside from just money. And I think if more people focused on those things and less about, I'm afraid to talk about money because I don't want to be pushy, and my job to go to beauty school wasn't to be a salesperson, then why are you doing hair to begin with?
You are diagnosing a problem. Part of your consultation is, hey, Barbara, tell me a little about your frustrations with your hair. What's going on? Any problems with the scalp? Any problems with your color? Any problems with volume? Ooh, this right here can help you with volume. I'm diagnosing the problem and prescribing the product to give you a solution to that problem. You don't have to buy it. Keep having flat hair or walk around like you do when you leave the salon all the time and get the fucking mousse.
But I feel like it's the same with hair. Like we are diagnosing hair as a hairstylist with color, with cutting, with different shapes that we're doing within our process of being a hairstylist. It's the exact same thing. You're just adding one more tool to it. When you talk about dentists or even like in the health industry, your doctor is selling you stuff nonstop. Like they want you to buy this next medication because a sales rep came in yesterday and sold them on it and they get bonuses for selling it. There's a reason why they're prescribing it. So we can't get ourselves into the position of thinking it's like pushy or salesy or sleazy. Like it is just a part of what we get to do.
Here's a mindset for people listening right now. I don't take drugs. Like I don't go to the doctor.
Oh no, I don't either. I'm like the most holistic human you'll ever meet.
When people run out of prescriptions, what do?
When they run out, they call the doctor or they call the pharmacy. Yeah.
So if you don't sell them shampoo, when they run out of shampoo and they went to CVS or wherever a drugstore to buy it, where are they going to go? Back to the drugstore. What happens when they buy it from you? They're going to call you. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm out of shampoo. Time to see Nick. Like that's why it increases your retention rate.
100%.
Just a magical thing that, they buy it, they're going to come back to me. No, it's a reminder every time they wash their hair, every time they style their hair, they're going to think of you. Oh, I'm running low. Oh, I need my color done. It's just a connection point. So that's how it works psychologically.
Yep. No, I teach the same thing. It's very true. I get so I'm super bougie. I get facials. I buy very nice skincare. And when I run out, I think about my esthetician and I go back to there and I buy their skincare because I like, know, and trust what they've given to me and it works. They don't push it. It's just because I know it works. So it's the same thing with the hair.
It's if you don't push it on people, they're going to buy it. It's very simple. Just what's your problem? What are you trying to solve? Let me give you a product to give you the solution to that problem. It's pretty easy.
It is easy.
Hey, James.
Nick.
We got any comments?
Yeah, I was just waiting for a spot.
Yeah. All right.
Nikki Nice Hair says, I like Laura's hair color.
Why, thank you. It's like a little shiny. I need to wash it, but thank you.
We have a couple. Hold on.
What brand do you use for color?
Oh my gosh, I use a lot of stuff. So we switched to Arate recently, which I've been loving. It's non-ammoniated. It's beautiful. It's so shiny. But I was using Wella for a while before that.
Before they went to like $35 a tube?
That's kind of why we left. I'm like, this is their expense was just
for a 1.8 ounce tube, not even 2 ounces.
Insane. So yeah, the new color line that we have, they're bigger tubes. It's like 1 to 1.5 developer. It changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a 3.5 ounce tube. It's 1 to 1.5. It's like under $5 a tube. It's
What do
great.
you use?
I use Magicolor.
Is it Italian?
It is.
That all Italian. So Arte's Italian. I think Artego or Artego.
It's Italian.
Yeah, a lot of them are 1 to 1.5, and it just makes sense. Bigger tubes, more developer, less color.
James,
We got beautiful you hair. I'm thinking about doing a booth rental in our new space since it will be legal in New Jersey on 2025. Can you give me some info on that?
Lori, you want to take that?
Okay, so ask the question one more time.
She's doing booth rental because now it's going to be illegal in New Jersey. Any advice for her?
It's going to be legal or illegal?
Legal. Jersey can't do
Illegal.
booth rental yet.
I can't do booth rental right now.
Mm.
Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. Are you a stylist or a hair or a salon owner?
You're going to own a salon. I think she should open a salon and she wants to rent her chairs out.
Oh my gosh. Where do we even begin?
I have my model I'll give you.
I would love to hear yours because we actually run our salon commission.
Okay.
We had a renter at one point and I switched to commission, and we're considering doing a hybrid, but I have a model in my brain that I'm still like ironing out because I don't want to be just the normal rental. So I have a thought on that.
When I do the math on it and the support for my team, and I started crunching numbers, rental didn't make sense for me, and it didn't really allow me to support my team the way I could. And so everyone talks about 1099 commission styles is illegal, when in reality, it's not if you structure it the right way.
I'm so curious about this because I've seen you talk about this in the last couple of days, and I'm like, enlighten me.
I have a hair salon and we sell retail. Now, based on the ABC ruling, I need to have absence of control. I also can't be performing the same thing that the stylists are going to be doing in my salon. So in my operating agreement for my LLC out of New Jersey, let's say, I'm just simply a retail place that facilitates an environment for cosmetologists to work out of. We don't do hair out of here. I then hire a staffing agency that my trust might happen to own out of Wyoming, that they send me hairstylists. They pay the hairstylist, not my salon in New Jersey. That allows me now to not have any payments going to that stylist directly. I want all of them to form an LLC though. Like I want them to be truly independent so they can get all the deductions. They can take advantage of any kind of investments. Their business deductions as an LLC. They can give money to their kids, like $14,000 a year, and access to all of that stuff. So now I have 2 streams of income going to that stylist because that's part of the C. They want to make sure that they actually have another source of income, part of the ABC ruling. So the salon gives them money for retail sales. They get a commission on that. That's also going to be 1099. The staffing agency pays them for the services. So there's 2 streams of income from 2 different entities. So now they have the ability to generate income from 2 different companies while they're doing hair in my salon. So if you have a stylist that's booking $5,000 a week, if I'm renting my chair out for $450, what are you making as a salon? But if you give them 70% commission, the 30% the salon takes is $1,500. So you times that by 10 chairs, it's a significant difference. And so that's how I structured it. And people like to rant and rave, it's illegal. It's not illegal. It just depends how you structure it. You can't control their schedule. You have an agreement. So Laura, we sit down, I take a look at your contract on this piece of paper. We have Monday or Sunday through Saturday. Which days do you want to work? Let's initial it. You pick your hours, not me. I don't have control over it. I need to know what days I need to market for you. I have to run ads so you get busy. That's why you start at 50%. I'll take that 15% payroll tax and other fees that I'll pay on you. I'd rather give that to you or hold on to that and then throw that to Google and Facebook to get you built up. Eventually, I don't need to market you. You've gotten busy off your own word of mouth, your own skills. You become your own person. So now that's why as you're making more money, I take less from you. You go more independent, but you get access to the booking app if you need it. You get access to all the color we have in the salon because we do parts and labor. Obviously, you get access to the salon, an assistant that we have, and then I double down. You have the ability, once you're independent, to pay your own assistant, and now you can work 3 or 4 days a week, have your own assistant that you pay out of your pocket, and instead of booking $5,000 a week, you can probably book $8,000 a week, or whatever the numbers are.
Right. Okay, I have a question. So when you do parts and labor, do they get commission off just the labor, not the parts, correct?
They don't. I do give a little kickback for the color. I was running that for a while.
Okay.
So on a bowl of color, they get $1.
They get a little kickback on this. So like that way their cost of products taken care of.
Yeah.
And maybe a little extra.
There's margin in there.
So essentially, I'm breaking this down because this is very interesting to me. I love learning new business models. I've heard all different types. Because there's not, okay, I'm processing what you just shared. Because you don't have to pay on the actual like employee taxes and all that has wrapped into it. There's the ability to like put that money in a different capacity. It goes back to them. What are they able to write off? Like, so, because as a 1099, like I would want to know what can I write off in my business to make this make sense?
So I will. Let me get it up for you.
This is why it's so different. Every state, and I did not know. It's so interesting how the northern states or certain states have or obviously you're now able to rent where you couldn't.
So they can deduct their tools and supply, scissors, clippers, anything they buy from Salon Centric typically could be as a business expense. Marketing, advertising. If they market themselves, advertise themselves. They have insurance for themselves. They can write that off. Any of their other insurances too, in general, as an LLC. Dinners, they go out with their friend. They talk about hair. It's a consultation. It's great, but it's a write-off. They get their qualified business income deduction. So that provision allows you to deduct up to 20% of your business income before taxes, significantly reducing your taxable income.
So you tell them to be set up as an S corp then, like as an
I would tell them to set up as an LLC at first, because you can access that as an LLC or an S corp. Once they break that 120,000 ish mark, it makes sense to become an S corp, because you have to have a manager you pay like a reasonable wage to.
Right.
And that's where it gets a little like complicated, but it's still possible to do.
Okay.
So you have self-employment tax deductions. Then you have vehicle travel expenses. So if they're driving to their place of work, they need their car, that's a deduction. I believe you can write off a lot of stuff with your vehicle. Mileage, I believe insurance, so some things you can write off when it comes to having a vehicle that's meant for work.
So it's interesting, in Texas, you cannot write off your mileage to and from work. That is something that is just like you're not allowed to do. But if you're to be traveling for work, like if I were to go and take like a road trip and have to travel for education, you can write that off.
Oh, cool.
Obviously, every state's different, but it's interesting learning the do's and don'ts.
Education, professional development, health insurance deduction, retirement contributions. You can have a SEP.
Can they write off the amount of commission that you take as a rent or cost of doing business?
I believe they could. So that's the other flip to it. So what you would do is, depending on your state and like what you want to create as an owner, you could then have them 1099 you as the owner, that 30, 40, or whatever 50% that you're holding on to at the end of the year. So instead of you issuing them a 1099, they would actually issue you one.
Have you had an employee do that?
No. I actually have a PMA. So I run a private membership association. I don't have employees, I have members.
Okay.
So mine's a little different. So during the shutdown, I started researching our Constitution, and I realized that there's a whole private sector that's not open to the public. So the State Board of Cosmetology has no jurisdiction in the private domain. And so I also formed this PMA where they sign a membership agreement and they become members of the PMA. So I pay them based on the activities they participate in with other members. So they're not employees. I have service giving members, service receiving members. And under the First Amendment of the Constitution, you have the right to peacefully assemble, which is what we're doing. And then 14th gives us the right to private contract. And there's a bunch of other amendments that protect me as a private business.
This is like next level business. This is next level, like thinking outside of the box, making it work for your business.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So the Department of Labor can't really come here because we don't have any labor, just as members. And they agree to participate.
They know what they're signing up for when they come in and they want to work with you.
Oh yeah. And so do my my clients when they come in.
Yeah. There's
a membership agreement. There's a sign on the door. Says we're not open to the public. We're private only. We have bourbon, we have beer, we have wine, we do activities in here.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. This has been so interesting.
Yeah, so the
very
attorney
different
general
than doing here.
Sent me a letter. They came, they handed me a letter, served me papers. I quickly wrote them a letter back telling them, stay the fuck out of my salon. In like so many words. Like I listed all the different court cases, whether it's Supreme Court case, New Jersey Supreme Court case, New Jersey Kate hearing, all these cases that rule in favor of private membership associations or private businesses.
How hard was it to get that set up? Because I'm thinking if someone were to listen to this and be like, okay, cool, I want to do this in the state of Ohio. Like, how hard is that? How long did it take for you to set that up?
Call me, set it up, and I'll set it up for you over the weekend.
Oh my God, it's wild. That is such, so I mean, again, not only like working with other stylists, but having worked at multiple salons, which I've only worked at like, I'm like an OG. If I'm in bed with you at salon, I'm there for like a long ass time. But I've never heard of this type of business model before. And California has very unique business models too, just because of their laws. But I have not heard of that. That is so
A
interesting.
few of my clients are in California. I created them PMAs.
I mean, it would work there because they're
brutal.
They're terrible. They're
I mean, the state's going to try and overstep their boundaries. So you need to make sure you have a backbone and you understand what your constitutional rights are in the state and also federally.
Yes.
Because you have rights in both. And so not everyone knows this, but you have a state constitution as well. And so you have to make sure you go through your state constitution and find out how you're protected. And then when you go to court, Your Honor, I'm protected by this, this, and this. So please, I'm within my rights. Please make this last attack on my constitutional rights and my state constitutional rights. I'm going to sue the State Board of Cosmetology.
Wow, that's so interesting. Okay, so why? Then my question, I'm going to podcast you. So why would you have gone through all of those hoops to make that business model work for you? Why is that better or a better option for you than doing a traditional model of like either commission or rental? Like I know the reason why you didn't do rental, because rental does create a glass ceiling. Like you can only make so much in rental. So going back to the question is like,
as a coach, I teach people and I help coach them to create the most profitable salon.
And that's what worked for you.
It's the freedom salon method. I want to give you freedom of your time, your money, your energy. And when I did the whole 1099 structure, I wasn't really aware of the different laws and how each state was different. And so when I came up with this model of a staffing agency, and so I'm not paying the salons, LLC is not paying that individual directly or paying their company directly. It's an outside agency. So I have no control. I'm not even conducting, I'm having no finances involved between me and that person. So when the Department of Labor wants to investigate where the money is coming from, not coming from me, not coming from the salon. So then that's where it ends. I mean, obviously you're going to have to maybe do some different things and go a little more in depth than that, but you're pretty much protected when you do that model. And so I exhausted my accountants, my friends who are lawyers, and we grilled each other back and forth. And I literally went through like mini trials with them. And they tried to come at me every different way. And I created this structure with that staffing agency and that whole structure that I teach by making it a 1099 commission stylist.
You broke out of the matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
And I don't want to give the government money. They're going to fucking spend it on some stupid shit. What are they spending it on?
I don't even know right now. I'm a Canadian. So I literally keep zero account for like the government here. I don't even like to like.
Oh, so you're in Canada.
I'm not in Canada. I mean, I'm a Canadian, but I'm in the States, but I still can't vote.
I created one for Canada too. I created this 1099 structure for Canadians, how they have independence.
Well, thank God, because their government just takes all their money.
Oh, it's brutal. But they have different provinces. So it's like, they have to be tricky because they don't have the protection of a constitution like we do in America.
They do not. It's a
in Australia, forget about it. They're even worse than Canada.
I mean, it's a monarchy. We're all ran by the queen.
It's crazy.
It's really weird when you think about it.
Anyone who's in the States right now listening, for you to say you hate America, I don't care what way the vote just went, you are in the best country in the world.
It is so true. I just talked, I don't mean to cut you off, but I was talking with a nail technician. He owns a nail salon. He has 3 nail salons. They're doing really well. He makes a shit ton of money. And he was going on about Elon Musk and how much he loved, because he had one of those trucks, the Tesla trucks. He was showing us his truck, but he was talking about how much freedom he has here and how he built his business. He came here with nothing, and he built his business from the ground up, and he went to school and he learned how to like manage and hire. And he's like, he wasn't saying this to be braggy. He was so humble. But he was like, this is the land of the free. It truly is. We have the most freedoms than any other country in the world. And yet we still have people who aren't willing to put in any work, who are actually natives of this country, who have so much privilege and opportunity that will continuously show up with excuses as to why they can't be successful.
So I kick off a business meeting with that exact model. So when I first got into like the coaching business realm and knowledge, this is how I would start my like in-person meetings. So who in this room right here knows how to speak English? Like who knows what I'm saying in my language? Everyone? Yeah, because you're listening to me. Perfect. Who in here knows how to do math with our currency? Like if they give you a 20, can you give me a 5, a 10, and 5 singles? Great. Who in here knows more than one person in the States? You guys know me, you know the person next to you. Great. So why is it a man can come here from a different country, not know our language, not know our currency, not know another person in this country, and be a millionaire in 5 years?
It's crazy.
Yeah. You're fucking lazy.
Unfocused, distracted, like
Well,
don't
that's
take
the thing.
accountability.
So distracted. I was talking to a client of mine, and it's like it's so much harder now for her kids. I'm like, not really.
Mm-mm.
It's only harder because you have Netflix, Hulu, your iPhone, 43 apps you pay for, 2 other subscriptions, iTunes Music, Apple Music, or like Amazon Music. You have Audible, and then you have 4 other things you belong to, like a tanning package, a hair salon package. All your money's going out. Whereas, 30 years ago, we weren't spending money like that.
No.
And so if you were to just eliminate all of your monthly reoccurring subscriptions, you'd probably have an extra 20 grand a year. And then in 3 or 4 years, you have that down payment for the house. So it's not like harder. It's just we're more distracted, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine living in any other era than this era right now, because the opportunities for you to make money are enormous.
They've only grown, especially since 2020. There was like this portal that opened. I'm not getting woo, but I joke around. There was a weird portal that opened that people just were able to open businesses and make money. You can take an idea and make money out of anything, but you just have to educate yourself on how to do that.
Ryan's Toys did 35 million last year.
What is it?
Ryan's Toys. The little boy who plays with toys on
Oh no, I think I may have heard about this a little bit, but
yes, Ryan, his mom, this kid Ryan, his mom used to follow him around on YouTube in their house opening toys. Eventually, he got traction, became viral. Kids would watch him play with toys. Ryan's Toys. He gets so popular. I think he's worth 150 million right now, maybe more. James,
What?
look up Ryan's Toys. See how much money he's worth. Ryan's World. He got a deal with Walmart.
that's
He
wild.
still has a YouTube channel. I mean, look at Jake Paul.
Oh, insane.
YouTube.
The fact that he was able to put together this match, he was like, you know what I'm gonna do?
He was on
gonna
YouTube
get
for
my-
Disney, James.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Net worth is over $100 million.
Oh my God.
Ryan's Toys off YouTube. So it's so easy. If you're that great at hair and you're getting tired doing hair behind the chair, create a course, create a program, teach other people, charge them the money. You'll be making $20,000 a month. Obviously, there's a little more work behind it.
Yeah,
Than
there's more.
that. In a nutshell, have knowledge, package it up, market the shit out of it, help a lot of people so they tell more people, and then you get this reoccurring flywheel of people wanting to learn from you, and you're done. I always tell people when they ask me about marketing, I think I posted about it the other day, be the best in the world at whatever it is that you're doing. Tell the whole world about it. That's all you need to do.
It's really true. I think a lot, especially in the beauty industry, there's a lot of women that they say they don't have confidence or they don't believe in their abilities or who am I to do this work, blah, 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 which I understand imposter syndrome. I've been through it. But I think when it comes down to it, when you get really when you are undistracted, laser focused on what that one thing is, and you are really good at it and you talk about it you have confidence in it, people are going to listen to you. And you have to just stay in your zone and stay in your lane and almost become so unattainable in a good way, meaning don't let people distract you with their time. Yeah, you have to just go all in on yourself and hustle your ass off and believe that you're worthy of whatever that thing is to get there. The sprints that I go in, I do sometimes quarter sprints, and that's when the business starts to take off and really do well. And it's because I'm so in my focus and lane, and that's when all the ideas come in. But then there's times when I'm like, oh, what's this person doing? What's this person doing? You lose your focus.
You need flow.
Yeah.
That's why my flow is first thing in the morning.
You read that? Have you read the book Flow? There's
I probably have read it in the past or heard of something similar.
It is. It's a very deep book. It's
deep work.
Yeah.
What's Flow about?
I've only read an eighth of it. I'm not gonna lie. The literature is so tiny. It's just a really psychological, deep book about how to get into flow state. And it's not woo-woo flow. It's getting into the neural pathways of flow and what that looks like on at a different level. It's a deep book.
Take a microdose, go for a workout, and then meditate for 10 minutes.
Microdose. I don't hate that, but sometimes microdoses can bring out more than you need. unlock different chambers you didn't know you had.
Definitely does. Yeah, I gotta check out Flow. Do you listen to Blinkist at all?
No, I don't.
Blinkist is an app. It's like 10 to 20 minute like cliff notes of a book, Audible or reading.
I love to read.
I'm a listener.
I'm a reader. If I listen, I have to like close my eyes and not do anything. Otherwise, I don't listen. I can't hear anything. I get distracted.
I gotta listen like over and over again. Like, I'll listen like when I take a person's course or their coaching program and I have like their recordings like on either Mighty or Kajabi. I'll listen to the same class like 15 times and I'll take notes and I'll study it. Like even with books too, it's easier for me to study audibly than it is on a book. Because as I'm reading, I'm also trying to write, and I got to keep going back and forth. So I did a huge change in how I consume information. And rather just listen to a book or read a book, I study and try and get to the author's mindset about why they wrote the words they wrote. And so I could kind of really take as much as I can from that person. So I want to study everything about that person. And then I go into their TED Talks and their interviews and everything about that person so I can extract as much of that knowledge and life experience to add it to my own.
That's deep. That's
the guy I'm doing now is Chris Voss.
Chris Voss.
Chris Voss wrote the book called Never Split the Difference. And he was an FBI negotiator. And so when it comes to sales, when it comes to influence, the ability to listen to a person's voice inflection, how they exhaled, physically, even how they turn their body, you can mirror them. And he gives you these nuggets of information throughout his social media, but also in addition to his books. Like when you connect the dots from how he speaks on social media to the words he wrote in the book, that's when everything comes full circle. And I truly understand what he was meaning in the book, because you can't put all that in a book on the pages.
Right.
I have to watch him tell the story that he told in the book so I can actually see his body language and the meaning behind it and listen to his voice as he speaks about it. So like I'm trying to learn the negotiation, the influence on a whole different level. So when I tell my team to invest in the IRA or you should post on social media, I can influence them better because I mastered negotiating. So when they give me the obstacle or the rebuttal, I have the answer for them.
That's so interesting. Yeah. It's kind of like NLP, but like on like a different level. Yeah. And it's funny because some people are like, well, that's like manipulation. I'm like, call it what it is, but like it's influence. Like you're influencing someone to have a better outcome.
When you upsize your fucking McDonald's, that's influence too.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Right.
The medium size is only like 30 cents less than a large. You're going to go with the large. Like the way they manipulate people in everyday life. And you have to do it to know you're not getting manipulated. They're trying to sell me why they shouldn't post on social media. And I know from my team, based on my own experience, that if she does that, she'll get to her goals. It's up to me as a leader to influence her in a positive direction. If you're a douchebag and you do it for your own gain, then you're just a douchebag. But if you do it so everybody wins, the universe will compensate you for that, and everybody wins. You'll both grow.
I just got off the phone right before we talked. I was talking to my CFO and we were having this very similar, not same conversation about the influence of growing a team and what was he saying? He was like, instead of focusing on what they aren't doing well enough, like you do want to be like, hey, this was like an area that you didn't do so great this quarter. Instead of putting all your focus on that, put it towards like what you want them to do. How are we going to get you to that? How can I support you in this capacity? Here's an opportunity for growth. And it was just like, it's nothing that I haven't heard, but sometimes you just need to hear in a different way. And it's so true because I've been in 2 salons that had their pros and cons. And I think when you as an employee are being reprimanded for bad behavior, it doesn't motivate you to want to do better. You just think that they're dickheads and you like leave a meeting with a bad taste in your mouth. So it's like, leadership is so key, not only for yourself and success, but for when you are working with other people to be that influence of, it's not just when you win, I win, we all win. Of course we all win. That's what a business is all about. We're not in the business to be like broke, but I also want you to make money.
Of course I want you to make money. That's why as an owner, it's important to have the what's next for people. So I spent the last year really designing how to create a coaching program the most efficient, simplest way. So when my team's like, Nick, I think I want to stop doing hair. Here's what you can do next. I can help you open a salon. I can help you sell products. I can make you an influencer. I can make you an affiliate of our website. If you want to make more income, do you want to be an educator? Let's do it. So no matter what you want to do in this industry, it's up to me as an owner to always increase my ability to serve my team. And whether they thought I was doing that for them or not, because I disappeared for a little while and they were probably pissed about it. But now when I came back, I'm like, guess what? I have some new shit for everybody.
You were just
And
updating your operating program.
it's always about what's next.
Yeah.
No matter where you are as a business owner, the second somebody wants something more than you could provide for them, then they're gone. And
That's
people will leave regardless. Like, it's going to happen, but your vision has to be so big, it fits their vision in it. And if you have a big team, you need a really big vision, because that's a lot of different visions that compound that you have to compensate for.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, going back to what you asked, like, what's next for you, Laura? And I was like, I don't know. I think part of it's just because I've been in the industry for quite some time. And if anything, my answer now that we're talking through this is really just to grow and empower like the team that I have capacity for. Because I love being in the salon, but I don't want to do it full time. Like, I love my part-time job of being with clients, but to empower a team to grow them, to go after what they want. Like, I've done the education, I've traveled, I've worked for companies. I have my own company now. Like, I would love to, that's what we do. We give back to our employees. We help our team to get to what their next level is. And I would rather give them more of that time than pour into my own business of being a hairdresser.
These are 3 questions I ask every new team member. It's, what experiences do you want to have in life? What kind of person do you need to become to make those experiences possible? And then how are you going to help other people make their experiences possible too? You're on question 3. You did the evolution. The magic happens on question 3.
It does.
And so the more you give to other people, the more you get, whether directly or indirectly. It's just the universal law of compensation. And so the more you keep pouring into your team, the more you're going to get from all other areas.
Yeah, no, it's really true. I mean, I've seen it happen even just on a small scale of like educating hair extensions. Like, I've seen people blow up their businesses just by being that person to help teach them how to do extensions.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So we could probably talk for another 4 or 5 hours, but what people watching on my particular live,
there is one more question.
Oh, ask the question, James. We got one more question.
Jenny Jacome, NJ Hair, how do you feel about having renters in your salon as opposed to traditional employees paid by commission? Helps or changes the overall dynamics of the salon culture and community? Is there less turnover?
All right, I know what you're trying to ask. She's asking, does having renters in the salon opposed to commission styles have less? Is it more turnover or less control over the culture? Yeah, in a way, it does give you less control over the culture, I feel. But if you're a strong leader, I'll give you this quote. You're going to hear me say this quote all the time. Laura, if you follow me, you probably heard me say it before. An army of sheep led by a lion will always defeat an army of lion led by a sheep. So if you're a strong leader, it doesn't matter if you have rental, you have commission, it's barbers, it's extension artists, it's lash techs. It doesn't matter. It falls on you as the leader. What kind of leader are you? It's a direct reflection on how your team performs.
Yeah, I agree. I think either model could thrive or fall apart. It really depends on who the person is leading that culture and what you ask of yourself and ask of your team. Because like you could think like, okay, I've had this conversation with a lot of stylists. I have commission, but I'm tired of doing it all and they're not listening to me. And I think I want to go rental. Well, cool. If you go rental and then they all bail on you, who's left to pay the bills? Like, you still are failing. Like, you still have to address the core issue, which might be your leadership. And is owning a salon for you? Because I will say that it's, as an evolution of a hairstylist, most stylists think, and clients get in our ears, you're so good at what you do. When are you going to open a salon? Just because you do good hair doesn't mean you're going to be a good manager and a good leader. Like, you have to, it's a whole new animal stepping into that role. Even as a micro salon owner, it's just a whole new animal, and you have to get good at having radical candor and tough conversations and stepping into leadership and managing the money. And you do have to do it all in the beginning unless you want to employ people to help you. It's just,
you're going to learn to buy back your time.
Yes. Time management is just, that's why when people say leadership is lonely, it's because you don't have time to have friends. Like, it's so hard to have a large friend circle when you are so focused on growing your business and empire.
Here's what I like to do. I like to manage energy, not manage time. And so managing your energy means you dedicate certain days to get into that flow, like we're talking about. But the only thing I'm doing that day is dedicated towards money, e-commerce, leadership, coaching, nothing else. So I never get out of flow. And so if someone has to talk to me, if something's not on fire, someone's going to die, well, that's a Tuesday conversation. Here's my calendar link, book a time and talk to me. And so you really truly have to guard your time like a lot and manage your energy, because a lot of people, what happens is you're doing something, you come ask me a question, I get off my flow, an hour goes by, now my client's in the door, I got to do her hair. I never got a chance to finish what I was working on for the numbers or for the marketing.
Right.
And so if you're only doing marketing that day, only do marketing that day. You have to manage your energy.
No,
and so for family and for friends, whatever is important to you, go to your calendar and put in the most important things. Is it dinner with my daughter? Is it hanging out with my wife? Put it all in there first. Then you backfill with everything else to grow your business. So you never neglect the things that are important to you. Sometimes you have to be in the season of a no. And then my family might have to get neglected a little bit. Not forever. It might just be for that sprint for the quarter.
Right.
And at the end, we go to Disneyland and everyone has fun. So
right.
It's
no,
really
it's true. I think this is the one part of business that hairdressers aren't taught. They don't learn it unless you choose to go learn it. That it is a big balance of figuring out where. I love how you reframe that into energy. I think that's such a great way of putting it, because that's really what we wake up and have in the morning. Like, not just the energy, but like, when do you utilize it? How do you manage it? It just, sorry, the view changed and then I got off my.
Change that?
Yeah.
Was it messed up the whole time?
No.
All right.
Just wanted to see how it looked.
Oh, thanks. Screw us both up.
I was like, oh, we just got close. Anyway.
All right. So where can everyone on my team find you? What do you have going on? Your internet, your website, your Instagram, TikTok, whatever you have.
Oh my gosh. I am not into TikTok. I should be, but Instagram, I am Laura Elizabeth. My website is iamlauraelizabeth.com. I actually have a course out there that teaches independent stylists how to grow, scale, hire, train, and open your own micro salon. So I do group coaching, one-on-one coaching. There's a ton of free assets, honestly, on that website too, that you can download and get access to. So if you don't know what direction to start in, I would love to just send you something for free just to give you some education. But Instagram is probably where I hang out the most.
Awesome. Well, everyone, be sure to follow her, check out all her free shit, buy her paid shit. And thanks for spending time with me.
Thank you for having me, Nick. I appreciate you. And it was so good to hang out and get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah. All right. I'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.